I was hired to deliver meals to a hidden room, never look through the slot twice. I never expected a job off Craigslist to ruin my life. It was supposed to be simple, part-time work delivering meals to an undisclosed room in an old psychiatric hospital, long since shut down to the public. The building sits outside the city, fenced off, forgotten, overgrown with ivy and silence. The man who interviewed me, pale, stiff, and emotionless, didn't introduce himself, but handed me a clipboard with only 3 words typed at the top: "Do you follow instructions?" I checked yes, and that was that. He handed me a map of the hallways I was allowed to walk and a meal tray sealed in thick plastic wrap. "Room A7, he said. "Deliver once a night. Don't speak. Don't linger. And for God's sake, don't look through the slot more than once." I laughed nervously and asked if this was a prank. He didn't laugh back. The first night was unsettling. The hospital smelled like mold and burnt fabric. My footsteps echoed unnaturally, like the halls were swallowing sound instead of reflecting it. I passed rusted doors, most of them sealed with chains or missing entirely. Room A7 was at the very end of a hall that didn't exist on the printed map. I had to find it using directions scribbled in pencil along the wall tiles. When I finally arrived, I was greeted by a heavy steel door, gray with rivets and sealed tight, except for a narrow food slot about chest height. As instructed, I knocked 3 times, slid the tray in, and turned to leave. But as I walked away, I heard a soft voice from inside say, "You're new." I stopped dead. I wasn't supposed to hear that. I shouldn't have responded, but I was too curious. "Who are you?" I asked. Silence. Then, just before I took another step, the voice whispered, "You'll look tomorrow." They all do. The next night, I found myself anxious, hands shaking as I carried the tray down the corridor. I swore I wouldn't speak again. But the moment I slid the food into the slot, I felt warm breath against my knuckles and, without thinking, peeked through the slot. I shouldn't have. For the briefest second, I saw an eye. But it wasn't human. It was milky, wide, and stretched longer than it should have been, horizontally, like it had been pulled. The skin around it twitched and bulged like something alive was crawling beneath it. I stumbled back, heart pounding, and ran. That night, I found another note waiting on my apartment door. "You looked. Now read the rules. Rules for delivering to room A7. 1. Only knock 3 times. Fewer is disrespectful. More is invitation. 2. Never look through the slot more than once. 3. If it asks your name, give a different one. 4. If you hear scratching behind you while walking back, do not turn around. It isn't done eating. 5. If you dream of the room, don't return the next night. Stay away until the dreams stop. 6. If you hear someone else delivering food, leave. There's only one door, and it only wants one feeder. 7. Do not enter room A7. No matter what it promises you. I should have quit, but the pay was too good. Rent was overdue. And a sick part of me needed to know what I was feeding. Night after night, I delivered. I followed the rules like scripture. I started wearing earplugs to avoid hearing it speak. I wore mirrored sunglasses to keep myself from peeking again. But then the dreams began. Vivid, violent dreams of peeling wallpaper and blood dripping from cracks in the ceiling. The room calling my name, not with a voice, but in static and light flashes. In the dream, I was always approaching the door, tray in hand, knees weak, and when I reached the slot, I would see my own face staring back, but warped, stretched, eyeless, grinning with teeth that didn't end. I stayed away for 3 nights. On the 4th, the man who hired me appeared outside my apartment. No knock. No warning. He stood still in the hallway and said, "You broke Rule 5. It knows you dreamed. You have to feed it now, or it will come find you." I returned, trembling, to the hospital. This time, as I approached room A7, I saw scratch marks along the hallway walls, leading to the door like it had tried to escape. The tray in my hand was heavier than usual. I didn't ask what was in it. As I slid the tray in, the voice whispered, "You'll come inside soon." I wanted to deny it, to scream no, but something in my chest twisted, and I realized I'd been having thoughts. Curious thoughts. What does the full face look like? Why is it here? What does it want from me? I think that's how it works. It plants the seed of curiosity, and you water it with fear. I'm writing this now because I made a mistake tonight. I forgot my sunglasses. I looked again, not just a peek, but a full second. I saw its full face. And now, it has mine. If you're ever offered a job that sounds too easy, delivering meals, no questions asked, high pay, secrecy, say no. If you hear a voice behind a metal door say your name, say nothing. If you feel compelled to look through the slot, bite your tongue. Break your own fingers. Run. And if you ever do see what's inside room A7, don't let it see you back. Because the moment it recognizes you, it doesn't stay in the room anymore. It starts standing behind you. And eventually, you won't remember which side of the door you're on. The dream started the same night I heard that phrase whispered through the receiver. It was a whisper like the wind slicing through a keyhole, thin, cold, and alive. I don't remember falling asleep, only jolting upright at 3:03 a.m. to the sound of a door creaking somewhere deep in my house. But every door was shut. Every window locked. And still, there was that sound. A dragging creak. Not quite opening. Not quite closing. When I turned the hallway light on, it flickered violently, then died with a hiss. The shadows didn't retreat like they should have. They leaned toward me, stretching with purpose. I backed away, heartbeat hammering in my throat, but my feet felt slow, as if the floor was trying to remember me, trying to keep me. I returned to bed and pulled the covers up, not from fear of what I'd seen, but of what I hadn't. That's the trick of this place. It's not what it shows you. It's what it makes you feel you've forgotten. By the third night, the dream stopped pretending. I would wake up standing in front of my closet door, my hand gripping the handle so tightly my fingers ached. I started leaving my phone's camera on, facing the bed while I slept. What I saw the next morning made my blood go still. Around 2:57 a.m., my body sat up on its own. But it wasn't me. My eyes didn't blink. I didn't even breathe. Just stared. 5 minutes. 10. Then I rose and turned to the camera slowly, and smiled. I watched in horror as my hand reached out, toward the lens. The screen went black. The camera never turned on again after that. I began finding pieces of myself in places I never put them. My toothbrush in the freezer. My socks soaked and stuffed into the vents. My wallet outside, under a dead bird. At first I thought I was sleepwalking, but I knew better. Sleepwalkers don't leave messages scratched into mirrors. They don't carve words into the wood underneath their beds. They don't write open the door with fingernails on the back of their bathroom tiles. Then came the knocking. Always 3 times. Always from the wrong side of the house. A door that shouldn't exist. A door I could never find during the day. One night, I followed the sound. I counted 22 steps from my bedroom to the kitchen. That night, it was 23. And on the 23rd step, I found a door I'd never seen before. Wooden. Painted black. No handle. I stood there, paralyzed. On the other side, something waited. Not with urgency. Not with rage. But with patience. As though it had waited long before I ever lived in this house. Maybe before the house was even built. That's when I heard it, the same whisper from the phone. Now behind this impossible door, we only come when we're remembered. I moved out the next day. But the door didn't stay behind. It's in my new apartment now, tucked behind the coat closet. It doesn't knock every night anymore. It just watches. Waits. Sometimes I catch my reflection in places it shouldn't be. In the turned off TV. In the kettle. In the gleam of my dog's eye. Sometimes it blinks. I've stopped trying to escape. Because I think I already opened it. I just don't remember doing it. That's how they win. That's how they get in. You never hear the hinges. You never feel the air shift. They're already behind you before you even reach for the handle. I leave the lights on now. But the dark comes anyway. And when it does, it brings the door with it. So if you ever hear 3 knocks where there should be none, don't answer. Don't even look. Because the moment you do, you might find yourself on the wrong side. And you'll never know which one that is until it's far too late. From then on, every night became an exercise in déjà vu and dread. I'd lie awake listening for that knock, counting the seconds between each. 3, always 3, then waiting for the second wave, even though I knew it would never come. Instead, silence would press in like a weight, and the darkness would seem to stretch, shift, breathing just behind my ears. I started sleeping sitting up, pearls of sweat gathering at my temples, unable to shake the feeling that something invisible had taken residence in my chest. My heartbeat sounded wrong, off-tempo, like it was mimicking, copying, waiting. I stopped looking in mirrors. Not just because of what I might see, but what might see me. Reflections began acting independently, the faint smile at the corner of a mirror that wasn't mine, blinking back slower than I am. One night, my dog stood in the doorway staring at something on the wall. I followed his gaze and saw that smile, etched in sweat on the plaster, 2 centimeters high, angled like laughter. My phone no longer displays time. The digits flicker, then vanish inside the dark notch in the corner. I can hear static even when it's off, like it's receiving messages meant for someone else. I once heard my own voice there, telling someone to let her in. I tried blocking the 3 knocks with headphones, music, earplugs, nothing helped. The sound doesn't travel through space, it grows inside your head. I could feel it approach through the bones, rattling a matchstick inside my skull, tap, tap, tap. And when I asked Alexa to play something soothing, she answered in my voice, "We already listened." I moved again, farther from the apartment building, hoping change of scenery exorcised the thing. It didn't. It showed up in gas station mirrors, shop windows, the black glass of my car at stoplights. Always smiling. One evening, on a road trip pause, I looked into a puddle. Beneath my feet, wet gravel, and there, kneeling, was it. Mimicking me perfectly, except the water didn't drip from its skin. The smile turned slanted, eyes glimmered darker, and it raised a hand in greeting. I nearly fell backward just hearing the echo of my own voice laughing beneath the surface. Then the floor gave way. One Tuesday morning, I think, I woke up in a room I've never seen. Walls black, door gone. Only a slit of light above a heavy steel hatch. Beneath me, vibrations coursed in time with dripping water. My arms, my legs, they weren't mine. Knuckles wrong. Hair wrong. I lifted my head and realized I was lying flat, on cold metal. Behind a slit in the hatch I could just peek through, I saw corridors like I had walked before, ivy-choked, tile-walled, with room A7 at the end. But the signage was reversed. A mirror world. And just as I recognized it, a sound from behind me jolted me upright. A voice said, in perfect imitation, "Welcome back." I staggered upright, pressed my palm against my chest, but the skin there looked translucent. I touched my heart and saw the pump inside, veins flickering, unfamiliar. The hatch slid open. I walked through it, not because I was curious, but because it felt inevitable. On the other side lay Eden Park. The fountain stood silent in shifting moonlight, the spiral water still. At the edge stood the woman I'd served. She turned slowly, water dripping from her elongated fingers, gaze locking on mine through the gate. Then she smiled. My smile. She reached out. But I had no door behind me anymore. I was already inside. Now I sit beside the fountain, tray in hand, but half of me remembers feeding someone, the other half wonders if I am the one being fed. If someone ever passes through that gate, and remembers hearing 3 taps somewhere behind your door, just listen. Because they're already inside. And you're maybe already on the wrong side.